Many of you that are viewers of my channel may also be viewers of a gentleman named Rob Berger, who runs the Financial Freedom Show on YouTube. Great guy, does great content, talks about retirement planning. This video today is going to be talking about a few key points in one of his recent live stream videos that he titled How to Unwind a Complicated Investment Portfolio. So generally speaking, I agree with almost everything Rob says in his videos. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. But I watched that video, as I watch many of his videos, to learn and continue to get ideas. And I came away with a few questions that I think would be nice to tap into to flesh out the complexity that is a part of what he addressed in his video. The key points he was talking about in his video, how to unwind a complicated investment portfolio, were, one, that investing is actually simpler than it's made out to be. His basic premise was, once you see the light and you decide you're going to unwind a complicated investment portfolio that has maybe too many positions in it, too many stocks, too many funds, and you see the light, so to speak, and are ready to move to a more simple 2, 3, 4, or 5 fund portfolio, that it's actually a superior way to invest. So his two key points were, one, that simpler is almost always better, and two, that you can invest on your own and get just as good or better results using a 3, 4, or 5 fund portfolio. So I basically have 3 thoughts that came to me as I was watching that video that I'd like to bring up in the dialogue here on this video to also share with you, the viewers, to think about. So the first thought is simpler always better? I would make the case that in many ways, I actually agree with Rob that simpler can be better. It returns you brainwaves. It takes your focus and restores it so you can focus on things that matter. Sometimes, in many cases, especially in modern life, things are made needlessly complicated to obfuscate or require people to delegate power or authority. But in this specific instance, I would just challenge you to think about the following details that might arise if we think that investing is simpler than it actually is. So one of the questions would be, a list of questions would be, when I use a 3, 4, or 5 fund portfolio, if investing simply is better, and I can do that with 3 positions or 4 or 5 positions and simply do it myself and not delegate to a professional, how do I handle the following list of questions? Do I invest in a 3, 4, or 5 fund portfolio with all my wealth? Do I do it in every type of account? Is there a different structure or suggested structure for this 3, 4, or 5 fund portfolio in a taxable account versus a Roth versus a retirement? Do I keep that portfolio allocation forever? How often do I rebalance? What is the boundaries I'll place on each position so that I know when to rebalance? What do I do if I'm nearing retirement and I'm starting to get concerned about sequence of returns? What if I want to take income from my portfolio through dividends or interest or other things? Can that be done with a 3, 4, or 5 fund portfolio? Now, the only reason I'm sharing these questions is just to illustrate that investing is a set of nested decisions, and this doesn't mean that a 3, 4, or 5 fund portfolio is necessarily wrong. It simply means we need answers to a whole slew of other questions, and this leads to a second point that I'll make. So second of the 3 points, which is sometimes friction in slowing down with finances is actually good. We have to ask ourselves, who does it benefit when fast financial decisions are made? So if we have to sign our money over in a rollover to a financial advisor before we can ever get advice, that's not a good thing. Too fast of a financial decision, maybe we haven't had enough time, or likely we haven't had enough time to qualify that person, find out if we can trust them, if they're competent, what their track record has been. So we want other ways to be able to get advice, but that's just one example. But the principle being, simply moving to a simpler process does not necessarily mean that the thing that we're talking about is simple to execute, right? So that hopefully that illustrates the point. The second area that I recommend we explore together, or you explore on your own as well, is this idea of friction and slowing things down. So I mentioned the example with the financial advisor, how quickly people are expected to roll money over. But you can also find this analogous in many other areas of our life. When things are made too simple, we start to make decisions quicker. As humans, we like certainty. We want to believe that the thing we're about to do has limited consequences and lots of upside or stability. And so flattening complicated subjects and making them simple is a way for other parties to manipulate human decision-making so that we actually follow through on actions without necessarily getting stuck and paralyzed into not doing it. And so I have to ask, and I think you should be asking yourself this, who benefits when I make fast decisions, especially financial? All right, my third point that I wanted to make, again, just challenging us to think, is retirees are actually worse off. So implicit and also explicitly communicated in Rob's video is this idea that passive investing and using a 3, 4, or 5 fund portfolio that simply mimics certain markets or certain sectors factors of the market and you just set it and don't trade actively or manage risk actively is actually the better method in the long run. And the data just doesn't show that. So I'm going to share a few data points here. Now, I believe the data doesn't show that because it's one thing to set up a system and then back test it and show that it might have worked over historical periods, but it's another thing to see how humans actually behave and how they execute, and then to make something seem simple, leading people into that decision, and then expecting them to be able to execute as though they're professionals. So the first thing here is that Americans' outlook for their retirement has actually worsened over time. And this is taken from a Gallup poll that asks Americans how they feel about the prospects for their retirement. Americans are feeling more pessimistic about it. And that is despite the fact that in the last 20 years, well, one, most Americans simply don't work with financial advisors. And you can see that here. Little screenshot comes from the Employee Benefit Research Institute that shows that only 1 in 3 workers and retirees actually work with an advisor. So 70% of retirees are doing it on their own, and they're not doing very well. Most Americans are not prepared for retirement. Most Americans are also self-reporting that they feel less and less confident about retirement over time. And young people are also self-reporting that they feel hopeless about retirement prospects. And that's despite the fact that investing has gotten easier, access to brokerage platforms with lower fees, and the ability to self-direct accounts has gotten easier. So there's some kind of discrepancy here about this idea that we can just passively invest, set it and forget it. It's easy, it's simple, it returns brainwaves, and we'll have better outcomes over time when the data isn't really supporting that. And you can see in this article here that was taken from, or this summary here from the Gallup poll, that there are many reasons why, when I say this might be the case, that retirement confidence is declining. And it isn't only about investment security or stability. Here you can see that some of this is about potential future for Social Security or difficulty saving money because of inflation. But the fact of the matter, or at least I would express this, is shouldn't we control as many variables as we can control if we're trying to improve our retirement probability and success? There is also implicit in this idea of a 3, 4, or 5 fund portfolio that when markets correct and go down, we shouldn't panic, we shouldn't do this, we shouldn't really play defense. We should just kind of take the punches on the chin and just allow stuff to happen, because over the long run, we'll never beat the market. And I've done another video that you can watch on my channel that shows actually there is some benefit to active investment defense, and you can watch that video. I'll link to it on the side here. But the summary I'd like to make here is just we should take as much proactive action as is in our control to control and improve our retirement outcomes. And when we're being told to simply allow stuff to happen to us, who does that benefit? And I'm not saying Rob said this. I think this is a broader media investment propaganda thing that comes from the broader financial media, from big brokerage companies and custodians that benefit from people keeping their money invested so that they can kind of continue this arbitrage of fees. And I can talk about that in another video. All I want to do here and wrap up this video is just say, in conclusion, we should be asking ourselves, should I be doing the things? Is it always better for it to be simpler? Should I actually take on the responsibility? Is it worth it for me to take a bet on myself that doing this once in my life, retirement, making sure I do all these decisions myself, that I'm going to pay with the cost of making mistakes with my own money, is actually the better system? So I'm not telling you what to do, but I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helps stimulate some critical thought. Like I said, I generally agree with almost everything Rob says. This isn't an attack on him specifically. It's just I start to think these things when I watch, and I just want to talk about them out loud and hope that you will also talk about them and think these things through. If you like this video and you have other ideas for videos like this, please give me a suggestion in the comments section below. I'll link to Rob's original video. I'll also link to both of the articles, the Employee Benefit Research Institute source material, as well as the Gallup poll. And I'll also link in the description to this video another video I did called Investment Propaganda is Creating a Retirement Crisis, that talks a little bit about an idea that's tangential to this. I hope you'll enjoy those things. If you want to learn more or see other resources, you can go to my YouTube channel at PeakFP on YouTube, or go to thepeakfp.com on my website. And if you'd like to schedule some time for a free consultation with my fee-only fiduciary financial planning team, you can do so at www.thepeakfp.com or using one of the links in the description to this video below. As always, thank you for your time and attention, and see you in the next video.